is Abdulaziz Khan, and this is the lesson 5 of this course. So, in this lesson, we will finish the remaining part of the Excel sheet that we were doing previously. So, you can see it in continuation with the lesson 4. So, wherever we left in lesson 4, we had made some data types, like we had made the list. So, we will start working on those lists now. So, hopefully, you will be able to relate it. So it's better that if you can see both lesson 4 and lesson 5 in a single go, then it will be more easy for you to understand. Or maybe if you cannot see them together because of any time constraint, then at least you should know that these two lessons are basically very much related. The work that we had started in lesson 4, we will finish it here in lesson 5. So we should start now.
Okay, so as we were talking in the start, so we have to go through these three steps. But as I told you that what we will do is that we will take all the data, then we will take a owner ID, and first we will split the data. Here we say we will split the data. So for splitting the data, we need to iterate through this data with the different owner IDs. So as we have the 35 owners almost, so we have to take the first owner ID, we have to go to the data, we have separate the data for that owner, then we will make a pivot and copy it in the Excel file. So we have to make a kind of loop of this thing. I mean, take a owner name, split the data, make a pivot, put it in the Excel file, take the second owner name, and then the same, the third owner name, then the same. It means that we will go through this list, and we will go through this list in a kind of loop. So let's go back to our friend Google, and let's ask it that how to iterate through data in Python. So it says that the most common way to iterate over a list is the for loop. Okay, so we say how to use for loop in Python. So now we get the for loop. So for loop is simple. If you have a list, you say for dash in the list, and then you can do whatever you want to do. So this is the kind of format that we have to put a for, and whatever is will come within this for should be one tab forward. So everything which is one tab forward should come under this for loop. So because this for loop is our main loop, it will iterate through all of our code. So let's put this for loop first. So here I say for. Now for this I can even put X, but I want to make it more understandable because these are the owners, and I want to give it something as well. And the main thing that this for loop will do is that this will segregate the owners in different data frames. And we know that this name is not fruits. We have our list name separately, so we will put the. And you see this, it's a yellow. I mean, the Python is telling us that this is something wrong here. When we can give the right name, then it will be fine. So we have started our main part of the program. Okay, now here I would like to give you something out of I mean, this is something that normally a new programmer don't learn very simply and very easily. It is called a try and catch scenario. I'm just introducing you here because it is not easy that we Google this from our own if we don't know any programming. But as I was telling you, this should be a kind of fast or slow, something we will try to learn from Google only. Something I will tell you which is not of this basic level, but this will basically help us because we want to make this program kind of easy for us. So in programming, if we run through some lines of code and those lines are they give you some error. So the error is not always reported in a very simple manner. And when the program crashes, because if there is some big mistake and the program crashes, then it crashes with some difficult values for you to understand. And sometimes you don't want the program to fully crash, but you want to the program to, even, I mean, if it is going through some crashing logic, still it should not crash, and it will just give you that what happened, why the program was not able to execute. So for that we use a try, and then we use an exception. So now we should go back to our friend Google, and we should ask it that how to use try. So it just tells us that try comes with except. How to use try except in Python. So this tells us that the try block lets you test the block of code for errors. The except block lets you handle the error, and else, if there is no error, finally block that will execute the code regardless of the result of the try and except. So we will just use try and except. We'll use try, and then we will have our code, and then we will use except. So in this code we will have a try here, and then we will have a except here. Okay, so when this except is run, let's try to go back and see if our code is telling. It's this except can give you, when you try something, it can give you some different exception. I mean, it can give you exception with some name of the error, and it cannot give you. Okay, we have try and accept. We should see some more accept. So if you see here, this accept can give you, for example, you can try different kind of scenario. Like for example, this accept is taking as a zero division error. So if it will be a zero division error, then it will not fail, but it will just give you that you try to divide by zero. So okay, so this is then again accept value of error. And for example, here it is saying that, for example, if there is an except and any exception comes, then you can just print that exception. So we can use this type of except, so that if any exception will come, we will just print that exception, and we will try to log that as well. So we will not take different type of exceptions. We will just take this one exception, I mean any exception, and then we will print that exception. Okay, so let me make it a bit faster. So I say okay, any exception which comes, we give it a name, like for example E, and then what we will do is that we will say that print, I mean we have an error, so we will print that we are skipping now everything because we got an error, skipping due to an error. And here we say that the exception, any exception, we should just call it E. So to make it faster, that this part will do is that whatever code we will write here, if anything fails in that code, it will not fail the program, it will just terminate the program normally, and it will tell us that there was an exception, and I have finished everything due to error, and then it will give the error that what problem happens, why it did whatever it did. So, and let me add one of, I start my logging here, as logging is also, you can say, a kind of advanced thing. So I will go a bit faster here. So in logging we will give an error here, logging dot error, because this becomes an error. So, and this error we will print. Some things should be a bit faster for you. So okay, so what this part of the code will do is that, because you can, if you will start programming, you will learn these things with some passage of time. So this will try this code. If there is any exception, it will print that this is going out, and then in our logging file it will log an error, and in the error it will give us the full description of error. This e will be bring the whole description of the error in it, and this will be logged. So if it fails, we can go to the logging app.log, and we can see, and this log will be printed as well. And just for the finish line, let me add the finishing code first. So here we can write that if all is well. So what will happen is that we will just log it, that everything went well. And this will be an info log, and we will say that all files were created successfully. Because if we reach this point, it means that everything here was done without any issue. We were able to split the data, we were able to make the pivots, and we were able to print those in those files. So the skeleton of the program is made, and now we have to fill it. So let me start filling it. I will go one by one. I will go line by line. We will run the code and we will see. So as I told you that first we will split the data. So assume we are coming through a for loop. This loop, when we put a for in this way in Python, this takes the list, this list, and take the first item of the list, give it to this variable becomes the first item, and then you can use this variable in your code, and when this for will finish, then this will go in the second item and will bring the second item and will bring the third item. And as we are putting everything between this try and except, so except will never run because it will be the part of try. I mean, if try happens successful, then this part will never run. But if the try fails, then this part will run. It will skip everything. It will come to this part and it will execute this part, and then it will go to this, and logging should not come because yes, if it fails, then it will give an error and program will normally terminate. So let's start. So now what we have to do is that we have to select rows based on a condition. Again, I told you if you are having any problem, then you can always get back to me and we can go through that. Okay, before splitting the table, splitting the data, if you see here, we have to keep this in our mind always. I mean, so in this we have to see that when we made a pivot, or when we split the data, we give a kind of name to that data. So I want to, because we will have different names, because there should be different owners. So I want to give every data frame a different name, so that if we are stuck anywhere, we should at least know that at what point we are stuck. I mean, what is the problem that we are having. So first, let's make a name of the data frame, and that is a kind of thing that you can do in any way. Let me define a variable. When we were going through these things, we went through one example. Okay, no issue. Just as we see that how we can define a list, then in the same way. So to define a variable, Python just need a name. A name and a single is equal to something makes a variable. This x should become 5. And Python is very intelligent in some way. It does a lot of things in spectacular way as well. So now, for example, I want a variable. That variable should have the owner's name underscore df to denote that this data frame belongs to this owner. So what I can do is that I can make this parenthesis will make a kind of full, that whatever will come within this parenthesis will become the name. And then I will use a function. What this f does is that it can take a variable and it can put its value within this line. Let me show it to you. But that variable we have to put between these curly braces. I think this is very small now. Let me make it a bit bigger. Okay, let me ask people. So basically I want to give every data frame a name, and then I have to assign some part of the data to that data frame. So to give it a name, I need to put, so this owner should bring in each name one by one. So if I put the owner here, so it means that this part of the program will bring the owner name. And now if I put underscore df, and this will just make the full name. So when we will reach here, this name underscore df will become owner underscore df. and owner should be the first name. When it will be coming for the first time, it will be owner hyphen a1 hyphen df. This will become this whole thing. So this in this way, I just I will have the I will have different data frames with different names so that I can work on them. Okay, now I will assign something to that data frame. Now, this is also something that we should ask our friend how to split a data frame in Python based on a value. Okay, it says that this is not giving us good result. Okay, so if we see that it says simple, what it wants to do is that split data frame by unique values. So he says that if you do a df, and then you put a kind of, I mean, whatever you want, and whatever you want to split from those, I mean, the column name and what name you want to split from that column name. We should not put it directly to the CSV because we have to make it a pivot as well. So in this part, we are just doing a kind of split of data. So we'll just take this part of, I hope I'm a bit faster here, but when you will learn from this, and then if you will have your own issues, then you can do some more magic with time. So let me put it here, and okay, so I have, what it will do is that it will first take this part, it will take that here I will have to give it the names as per our required names. Like for example, our list has this name like transaction owners. So okay, let me try to see this df is the whole data frame. Df, then this parenthesis with transaction owners means that it will take the whole data but based on the column whose name is transaction owners. If you see here, it will separate based on this column, but based on this column, but how it will based on this column is that here we will put this name. So it will take all the values from this Excel sheet where in the transaction columns, the owner name is owner A1 for the first time, then owner A2 for the second time, and owner A3. So I hope this will be becoming now a bit simple for you, that it will take the data frame and then it will split the data frame. How it will split is that it will take this first value from this list and it will match wherever the first value matches from this with this column, because we have put something intentionally as well. I mean, our column name and this name is the same, but Python knows very well that when we are talking about a column and when we are talking about a variable. So we have a list with the same name, but it will not miss it. I mean, we will check right now. So it will take the data frame, it will take only those rows where the column of transaction owner is the same as this owner, I mean the first owner name, and then this it will take those rows and it will make another data frame of those rows only, and that data frame will be provided to this variable. So I hope that this is a bit easy now. So just to check it, if you remember here, we had done a kind of this thing. We will use exactly same thing here, and but here the df is a different df. We have to give the right name, so it should be name df dot head. So we will just, let's run this and let's just see that what comes out of it. Okay, so it says that skipping due to an error has some error in it. It's my mistake. When there is no comma, then it takes everything as it is. Comma was missing. It says that there is some problem here, and if you see, it's even tell us that perhaps you forget a comma. So it was right, and because this error was the part of trying exception, so the try exception also did not work. So now it took only the first one data transaction owner transaction ID. Okay, this is coming from the header, and now it's saying that transaction owner, it is skipping due to error, and the error is transaction owners. In the log we were not able to, okay, we were able to log it, and we got error every time it ran. So we are having some problem here. Let's go back and let's see. Okay, so for owner in transaction owner, try name.tf, but it failed. And okay, tf transaction owners. Okay, let me just check. Maybe this, okay, maybe this name is different in the Excel file. So okay, we don't have a S here. We have two options. One is that we can add an S here, and the other is that we remove an S. Let's remove it. It will give us ease as well. So now let me run it again. So now you see that it gives us different, you see everywhere the owners are different. So we were able to split the data in different data frames, and we were able to print those data frames. So we were able to do first part of it. I hope you people should be following it, and it is a thumbs up time for us. We were able to split the data. One thing is done. Now we have to make the pivot table, because we don't want to have this data in this format. We need a pivot table out of it. These dates should go in the columns. Owner should be gone, because owner should be the name of the Excel sheet, and transaction IDs will come and the cost will come. So owner will be fully gone from it. So let's move ahead and let's start the pivot data part. Now, in the same way that we did here, is that we will need to give it a name. Just like we give it a name to the data frame, we will give it a name to the pivot as well. Because this is not a data frame, this is a pivot. Because if we do not give a name of the pivot, then every time it can make some problem for us. So the only difference we will give here is that we will give it a name of pivot. So this part is, I think, simple, that we make a variable name pivot, and we give it a name every time the owner name will become the pivot's name, and we can just check it as well, and this will help us in a kind of debugging as well, because if we put one thing and we check that one thing, usually it helps us in knowing that if there is everything is fine or anything is having a problem. So you see here we are going fine. It gives every pivot a different name. We have got this pivot name created. So up till now this is working fully fine. Now we should try to go back to our friend, and I personally hope that these things are understandable for you. So how to make pivot in Python? Okay, so okay, let me add one name here, and let me, like, Stack Overflow is a very good source, and you can try to use it whenever you want. Generally we give it as a high value to Stack Overflow. Okay, so it says that if we put pd dot pivot table, and then we have to provide the name of data frame, index, and column, and then we can have some more detail as well. Okay, because it is not giving, because we want to have aggregate function, and then we want to have total and everything. So let's go in somewhere where we have more detail. Okay, so like here it's giving us that, for example, we can give index, columns, then we can give a value based on which value it should do it, but still it's not giving us further things. Okay, let me add some, because we have to pivot table with row total, because we need the total of the rows as well. Okay, so we need a, so here if we see that it's giving us now that we can have a aggregate function, and then we can have a margin is equal to true. So when we put margins is equal to true, then it make a last column of a kind of total column. I mean, it starts giving us that. Usually what you do is that you try different type of values, and then what you do is that you find that okay, here it's saying that even we can give this margin a name as well. Okay, okay, let's take this one, or let's take, okay, let's take this one and let's change it to our requirement. Okay, so because this name is pivot for us, it's a pivot, so we will put pivot here, and it is not a PD. We want to use this data frame, I mean, that we have name underscore PF. So we want to make a pivot table on this data frame. So we will give the data frame name dot pivot table, and here we will give it a index that based on what index it will work. So let's open our, so because we want the transaction ID as our index, so we will put transaction IDs here. And if I show you this, basically this should be our pivot based on which we will have values. So we will have dates on as the columns. So we need to have the name of this. So the name is date. So for columns, we would like to have date. Okay, now for the values is what comes inside it. The cost is the value. So this is our value, cost per day. So you have to know some Excel to work on Python. Okay, what we can do to make it simple is that we can bring it here, columns here, values here. So we don't have three values, we have only one value. So I will remove the other values. Okay, then aggregate function is the sum function for us, and we want to put margins as true, and we want to give these margins a name that we learned from this Google, that we can give margins a name as well, and we want to give the same name. So we will just copy it, and we will say that margin name is total. Okay, so I'm not sure that we are right or wrong, so we have a way to check is that we can write something here, and by writing that thing we should know that if, because this pivot is something which is a kind of logical thing, we can put this pivot in a Excel sheet and then we can see this pivot. But if we print something here and that thing is printed, because here it will write the name of pivot and then it will say that the pivot is done. So it means that this function was able to make a pivot without any problem. So let's run it, and it means that we were going fine. We were, if any one of you has any problem here, or if you want to change it and make it a kind of different, give it a different scenario and see that what happens, then we can, you can, and if you are having any issue in that, then you can always let me know, and then we can work together and we can see that what kind of problem you are having, and then we can try to solve it. So the good thing is that we completed the second part of it, and now we just have to save these pivots in Excel files. But as I told you that we have different files for different owners, so we have to just kind of do a if statement we have to put, and in each if statement we have to open the Excel file, put the pivot in that file, and then we will go to the next, and then we will go to the next. So because we have 6 different files, we have owner A, B, C, D, E, F. So we will have a similar kind of code, but it should be repeated 6 times, because whenever it will bring owner name, it will check that it is part of which file. It should be taken to which file. So first let's see that how an if statement is made in Python. So basically if is a kind of simple thing that if you can put if something, and then if you want to make further if, then you can put else if. So let's take the idea, and now what we have to do is that if the owner is in, now we have different slots. I will make one, and then I will just change the name for it. So we will have this many times. Let me make the first one, and then we will copy paste. Okay, so what we have to do now is that we have to open a file, and then we have to put the pivot table in that file, and that's, you can say that's done. I mean, we have finished. So let me do one thing. Let me, only for one file I will do it, that I will empty this file, and then I will save it. It's auto save, so it's always saved. So, and let me remove these as well, because we are quite sure that what we are doing. Okay, let me close this one. Okay, so what it will do is that first it will check that if the first one is coming is part of this list, then everything should be according to the file number A. Now let's just try to see that how we can save Excel file. How we can save a pivot table in an Excel file. So let's go back to our save pivot table in Excel in file. Okay, and let me add Stack Overflow. Okay. So let's see different pages. This one we already saw. It was not quite good. It's saying that use open by Excel. It does not have a lot of things. Okay, this one has some. It says that we should open a writer, and then we should put people to Excel. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, let's take this and let's try to use it. So it says that writer, we should give it different writer name for every one of it, and here we should give it the, because our files are in a different directory, and then we have a name. Okay, this we should give it again the name of writer A. Sheet name we need the same name, because we need to know that it is coming from where, and then index is true, and we can add a logging here so that we know that if it is done or not. So what I will do is that I will write here that data frame are written to Excel file successfully, and here I will give that Excel file name as owner. I hope you should be getting some of these things. That if you put in F here and you put everything within quotation, then you can put a variable in between. So this is good, and you can put many variables. You can put different variable names in different places, and you should put a F here, so it will take it. So I'm not sure that if this command should be successful or this should fail. So that's why I have added this logging there, because if it is successful, then this we will have it as a log. So let's run it with a big hope. Okay, so let's open the log. So it says that B1 was done, but the A1's not done. Why? The A was open. Let me close A. Let me just check this A. It's empty. Okay, there's only one owner A1. Let me remove this as well, and let me Okay, it needs at least one. Okay, if one is there, that's no problem. So let's run it again. So you see, for A, it's giving this error. XLS writer is not there. But for the remaining, it's working fine. For it's not working basically. Okay, sorry. It's not working. Okay, so we need XLS writer. It's saying that the XLS writer is not there. So we need to install this first. Okay. Okay, now we have XLS writer. So we see that we got one issue and we try to resolve it. Okay, now let's see the log, and this time it says that A was successful. So let's open A. It's not able to open this. We can see that this file was made right now. No, this file was not made right now. This is the same file. So it was not able to change, but here it told me that it did everything right, while in actual it was not able to write. Writer A pivot to Excel sheet name index is true, and this part is running and it is being successful as well. Yes, okay. So we are having some problem. Okay. Let's find some other way of doing this thing. So we were not able to make it. No problem. In sometimes you don't get what you need, but you just have to try again and try again. Make some new kind of, because it's not able to make it, and at the same time it's not giving us the error as well. Now, like, this is making some API kind of request. So okay, let's come back to this one. How it worked. Now ed index column. This is how to make a pivot table, not how to save that pivot table to. We have this OpenPy Excel as well. That's because we can use this OpenPy. It's, I think, a more better library. Okay, what is this? This is something else. Okay, so basically these are okay. It says that we put writer and we put engine as OpenPy Excel, and okay, we just try to change the engine name. Maybe this has some problem. Okay, let's see that how we can work on files with file modes, because there are different file modes in Python. We can open a file for read or write, or so let's see that how file handling is done. So it's a simple open with the mode, because when we are working on files, the file opening and file closing is quite important. So I wanted to see some place where it is giving me a good documentation. Okay, so let's try to make it fast. So if we have a file, we can use that file and give it a kind of handle to this file, and like when we say that with, and then we use this pd.xl writer, then what we can do is that we can give it a kind of, in Python we call it a handle of the file. Like we open this file and we give the file name and we give a file mode. By mode we tell it that how we want to use this file, because we can open a file for read or write, or we can open a file for append. So I think this was trying to open the file as a read only. And one thing I will show it to you, but because we are opening an existing file for append, so we need to give this one. You see this good thing of VS Code, it gives us. So if the sheet is already there, it will replace it. Now it, hopefully it will work. Okay, okay. This should come. This should come under this. And this should come part of it. Now let's see that our, again this, in this we are having these numbers. So we are having these numbers. We are giving index is true, but this column does not have a name. Let's remove this unnamed column from here. Let me just add this. I will let you know later. Okay, let's run it again. No. This is also not working. That's why it's not giving us any error, because it's not. Now it has given us one error, and it says that owners is not defined. Okay, and owners is not defined. And this is also giving, this is telling that this is wrong. Owner A, owners A. Sorry, this was right. It's not underscore. If I remove index, file is not a zip file. Okay, so it's trying to take this file as a zip file. Okay, so we are having some issue here with reader accelerator. Okay, for B we will make all these to B. I just wanted to see that what happens when it runs. For B it's working fine. So it means there is some problem in the A file. Let me delete this. Let me make another A. Let me open, because we were using A, so maybe it was having some issue. Let me just read these. Okay, maybe the issue was something else and we were looking at something else. Okay, so let's run it again. So now we can see the A was also working successfully, and after B it was done. So it means that basically there was some, because we added some sheets to A and then we remove it and we were working on A, so maybe that was one of them. So now we can see that it has created these files. So I think we are good. I just have to add this same for the all of the other owners. We did it for AB. We have to do it for, let me do it for C. And when we change it, we have to change here owner C, and then we have to change this handle name to C and this name to C and this file name to C. So in this way we can add all of these names one by one, and if I open the app log and if we see here, we will see that as soon as it will be finishing, it will adding lines here that A1 is done, A2 is done, A3 is done, A4 is done, A5 is done. Now it will do the C as well, C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6. So I hope we learned something here, and it was a good learning experience for everyone. We go through some issues, we came out of those issues. We used one engine of OpenPyXL, we used one engine of XLS Writer, and there were some issues that we did not went in very good detail because we are definitely limited by time. I am already, it's a very long video, so I will try to take you to some more things that we can, how we can make it a bit more better. And but I hope you will like it. You will learn a lot from it, and please do contact me or do let me know if you have any issue. And let's meet in the next video. Okay, goodbye.